Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning in. This is your Culture and Conversation podcast. I am your host and transformational empowerment architect, Neil M. Jackson. And today's show is going to be an interesting one. So, I just recently heard about this announcement, and I definitely want to bring it to you guys because Culture and Conversation, this is the show where we talk about what matters. And so the topic for today is technology going too far? And last week, I believe, or on a previous podcast, I'll say it like that. I remember sharing with you all about the updates that's supposed to be being made with the newer model cars. So 2027 and beyond, those cars are supposed to be coming equipped with technology that can determine whether or not you are under the influence. And not just that, but it will go a step beyond that, and it will be able to shut down your vehicle. So if the car detects or believes you to be impaired, whether you are under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or even if you are just drowsy, the technology that they have now is going to make it where if the car believes you to be impaired, it will shut down. So we had that conversation. But on today's show, Apple has just announced a new feature that Siri is going to have that I believe will blow your mind. So stay tuned because that's what we'll be talking about on today's culture and conversation. So, before we jump into it, if you have not already done so, please do me a favor and connect with me across social media, whether Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube. You can find and follow me at My Name is Tennille. And if you are on YouTube, I ask that you go a step further and click that subscribe button so that way you can be notified anytime I go live with new content. So whether it's a new podcast or a new video, a short, whatever it is, once it is uploaded, if you are subscribed to me, you will get that notification. And so I am thanking you all in advance for staying connected with My Name is Tennille. And finally, do not forget that you guys can go to my website. That's right, I do have a website, which is mynameistennille.com. And what that website reveals is everything that I'm working on. So if you want to know extra information about me, then you can find that out. But more specifically, you're probably going to want to know about the communities that I'm creating, the events that's coming up, as well as the various ways that you can work with me so that I can help you become the best version of yourself because that's what I do. But again, go to my website, which is mynameistennille.com. Now let's go ahead and let's jump into today's show. And the topic is technology going too far? And so I want to share with you all an article that I found, information that's on that's you can Google it as well. I'll give you my sources as I go through it because as I always tell you all, like the scary part about today's world is that people just, they're able to just put out stories nowadays and it becomes clickbait. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's true, and for the most part, the more far-fetched it is, the more clicks that you're going to get. And you live in a world now where people get paid per view. And so, gone are the days, and I won't say all of the days, but the days are few and far between where people maintain that journalistic integrity, where instead of just, okay, I see something, so now I'm just going to go and spread it like wildfire before I hit the share button, before I continue to talk about it, I'm going to do my due diligence and I'm going to look it up to make sure that this is actually a thing. And so with me, whenever I come to you all, I'm going to look it up, right? I don't believe in drama. I'm not trying to spread lies, not trying to create havoc. But if there is something that I believe that is going to affect us, our culture, like holistically as a society, as a country, however it may be, then that's going to be the types of topics, the types of conversations that I want to bring to the forefront, especially on this podcast and with culture and conversation holistically, because this is the time, this is the place where we talk about what matters. And so when we're talking about technological advancements that's going to affect us to this capacity, then I like to take this time, this place, and this space. And so I saw a video where a woman was talking about the different upgrades that are going to happen with Siri. And so if you guys have Apple products, if you have iPhones, you all know that we have Siri, so that if we call on this, and I don't want to say it now because I have Apple products, and so I don't want for Siri to answer in the midst of my talk, but we call on it and you can ask a myriad of things. You can, or you can even give certain commands. You can tell them to call certain people. So like if you have your phone, you can literally, and I don't know if Androids do the same thing, but definitely with iPhones, the device, basically technology has access to your contact list, so that if I say call and I give a name, then the device will say, or the technology Siri will say, do you want me to call such and such? So if there are multiple people on my phone, let's say if I say call Michael, if I have more than one Michael, then Siri is going to say which Michael, Michael X or Michael Y, and so then you clarify which one, and then Siri will say, okay, calling now. Now there are times, because it is technology, where if you say a name, because I get it all the time. One of my daughter's names is Angel, but her name is not spelled in the traditional manner. So there are times where when I'm saying to call my daughter, Siri will not call my daughter. And in fact, there'll be different names that will be called. And I'm like, what's going on? And so what happens is Siri has a particular way that Siri pronounces my daughter's name. So if I don't pronounce my daughter's name the way that Siri pronounces my daughter's name, then her name is not going to come up, right? And so that right there is already kind of whatever. And then it's times where you will call a specific name, but Siri doesn't understand who it is that you're saying. They'll get, again, it's technology, it's not a person. And so, it'll be, I'll see my phone ring and I'm like, who is this? And then you hang up. Now, again, let's say this, just as I did before when I talked about the other technological adjustment, you want to talk about the pros and the cons, because we understand every technological quote unquote upgrade is not an actual upgrade. It depends on what you're doing, who's going to have it, and how it's going to be used, right? So let's first kind of talk about what it is that's supposed to be happening. And then we're going to go ahead and go into again exactly how it's going to affect us. So give me one quick second, because I wanted to bring this up, so that way you guys can know exactly what it is that we're going to be talking about. So give me one second. Um, okay, so this is coming from Apple, okay? Certain things I'm talking about will also be coming from Mac Rumors, from YouTube. It'll be coming from TechCrunch. But a lot of these things are, again, the foundational parts of this is coming straight from Apple, all right? And so this was introduced at the Worldwide Developers Conference in 2026. Apple is completely revamping its assistant into Siri AI. Okay. And this is powered by Apple Intelligence and backed by Google's Gemini models. It says the upgrade introduces a dedicated chat app, on screen awareness, visual intelligence, and deep cross app actions, and is initially launching in English. And so, what we're going to talk about, I'm going to kind of go over some of the standout features of this update. Okay. So, one, and again, we'll talk about the pros and the cons, but I just want to kind of generally lay out just in case you haven't heard about this so you can be aware of what's going on. All right. Because I don't know, some of us will buy technology. So we'll buy phones, we'll buy laptops, but we won't totally know all of the functions and features that that specific device has. And so I just want to make sure that if you're doing any upgrades, if you're buying anything new, that you know the capacities of this device. So there's going to be a new interface. It says Siri now lives directly in the dynamic island as a discrete liquid glass pill instead of the old rainbow layout. Okay, then it says for conversational continuity, Siri can finally hold back and forth multi-step conversations, remember context, and recall personal data across photos, files, and emails. So this is the one where I really kind of want to stop and talk about it, because this is the one that can really kind of be like OMG in the best way or the worst way. All right. So many people, including myself, we need assistance, right? So some people, again, before technology was a thing, you hire what was called a PA, a personal assistant. I've had one of those. I had a couple of those. But then, as technology advanced, then you had a VA or a virtual assistant. Okay. So a virtual assistant for many people was not necessarily technologically based. It was simply a person that may not have physically been with you. So a virtual assistant, and I've had a couple of those. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I totally get all of this stuff. So virtual assistant could live in a totally different country, right? Because again, it depends on what the tasks are that you need assistance with. So like, if whether it's something for work or something for home, you know what I mean? Like, you basically can have a person, you delegate X, whatever the tasks may be. And this is especially good if it's administrative work, right? So like, if you just need somebody to send out emails or newsletters, or you know what I mean? Like, what if you're an entrepreneur, what we would deem busy work. So I need to stay focused on the creative process, or maybe even the execution process. I'm trying to create my systems and things like that. And so for me, I might not have the time to do certain phone calls. I might not have the time to send emails, to even check emails. You know what I mean? So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person that's physically in my office or my space with me. But again, depending on what you need the assistant for. So, like, let's say if you have a personal assistant that's helping you with your household things. So it might be somebody that comes in, and if you have to, like, they keep up with your appointments, they help you to remember, certain important dates. So if you have doctor's appointments for yourself or anybody in your household, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, if whatever it may be, reminders, hey, don't forget to schedule this appointment. So like, it's basically just having another person who is competent, first of all, who's competent, who has capacity to keep up with whatever your schedule is, whatever area of your life that you are hiring them for. You want to make sure that they have the competency and the capacity to be able to handle said tasks, right? And so with virtual, it kind of helped because you don't have to have that person with you all the time, right? And things can still get done. So that's why I say it really depends on the type of tasks, as to whether or not you're going to hire a personal assistant or a virtual assistant. Well, now guess what? All that said, to bring this up, when we talk about the conversational continuity, because now, and I can't really say it again, because as I was saying the name Siri, on my phone it generated. So I do not want to have I do not want to have this problem all show long. So the point is, now this is going to, your phone is going to have the capacity where when you say that name, um they're going to be able to understand. And so, like, even though technically, this is saying Apple intelligence, whether you want to say Apple intelligence, artificial intelligence, however you are deeming AI, but for this intent and purpose, we're talking about Apple intelligence, okay? And so the conversational continuity, again, it says that they can hold back and forth multi-step conversations, remember context, and recall personal data across photos, files, and emails. So what does that look like in real time? So now you have your phone is basically your personal assistant, so that, like, let's say not only can your phone make the call for you by you saying, hey, call such and such, they can do that. But now it's not just one command, right? And again, let's give even more experiential context. So I was selling cell phones when cell phones first came out, right? So back in 99, 2000, something around that time, I was selling cell phones, 2001. And this is when, like, you had like your Sanyos and Samsungs. So like now, if you buy a phone now, all you know is Apple and Android. But when phones first came out, before iPhones were really a thing, because I used to work at Radio Shack, and iPhones, we didn't start selling iPhones till years later. Okay, I'm not saying that it wasn't a thing then, but we just were not selling them then. When phones first came out, this was before you had the capacity to take pictures. Okay, so keep in mind there has been an evolution with the cell phone. So first it was just, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I actually can take a phone with me outside the house, because forever you had your phone, the wall phone, landline phone, however you want to say it. And so what was a phone good for? Somebody calls you, you answer the phone, you talked. I remember when call waiting came out, where you could do three-way calling. So the advancement of what a phone could do is definitively been upgrades through the decades. Okay, and so the point is, when you first started having a cell phone, that was like a really big deal, because initially you could have a cell phone, but it was not a contract. It was like you could pay for your minutes. And so if you all remember roaming and things like that, where everywhere you went was not covered, there was not a phone plan, you just got a phone, and then again you paid for your minutes. But then you start getting the different companies. I'm from Chicago, so I'm going to name those companies. You had US Cellular. Matter of fact, I think it was Primeco first, and then it became US Cellular. And then you had, Sprint, you had Singular, you had Verizon, which Singular became AT&T. So again, I done been through some generations. I have been through some evolutions of phones and what happened with it. And so the point is, when cell phones came out, and now you can get a contract. So now you can have this device where you get X amount of minutes, right? So it did not come out where it was unlimited everything. You could get, I think the plan for Sprint and for Verizon and AT&T, you could have like 500 minutes or 700 minutes, 900 minutes, even 1100 minutes. So there was a certain amount of minutes. And at the time, unlimited was never a thing. You could get a bucket of minutes on your phone every month. And then what became the thing, you got free nights and weekends at 9 o'clock. And then what became a thing was, oh, if you pay, because I want to say Sprint was the first company to do it, you could pay an extra $10. And now your nights and weekends started at 7 p.m. for free instead of 9 p.m. So listen, I know I'm showing my age. I don't even care. I'm just letting y'all know that this has been an evolution, and we have to kind of go back to see how we got to where we are now. So it went from having cell phones that all they did was just give you the ability to make a phone call when you were not at home. So instead of just being out, and like my children probably could not imagine what it's like to actually just be outside and just be free without a phone, but we came up in times when you left the house, you didn't have the opportunity. There was no way for you to talk to somebody until you got to where they were. But cell phones gave you that convenience. So now you were paying to have your cell phone. But then evolution continued to roll out and reveal itself, because now you could have the phones that had like the little camera phone. It was probably crazy now to think about it, because the to see the pixel the pixelation was absolutely ridiculous. But at that time, in that moment, when to be able to get a phone that could take a picture, so now I don't have to have an actual camera. So again, these used to be different devices where you would have, even if you didn't have your own regular camera, some people had your cameras or whatever, but a lot of people, if you didn't have a camera for big occasions, you would go to Walgreens, get a disposable camera, take those little pictures, and then most of the time it was weddings, graduations. Y'all know the big occasions where we would take the pictures and then do what? With that disposable camera, you take it back to Walgreens, have them develop your film, and then you come and you pick up your pictures, right? But as the cell phone continued to evolve and the capacities and what they were able to do continue to be enhanced, then now very rarely do you see people going to, get a disposable camera. Most people, if they don't own their camera, they're just using their phone, because now the quality, the resolution is just dynamic now. And for some phones, they're better than some cameras that's being made. So many people, they'll just use their phone, and then if I need to get it, printed out, I'll print it out from my phone. But a lot of people don't even go and get a camera. So that was the first major enhancement that phones had. So I'm still dialing all the numbers, but now I can dial my numbers and I can take these pictures, right? And then, oh, they really want to blow our mind. And they were able to put the internet on our phone. So now I could go www dot from my phone. And so now there was this mini computer on my phone, right? And so this is what I'm just saying, like little by little, there were constant upgrades being made to your technology. It did not just happen where one day you just woke up and it was like this, okay? But it constantly was more and more that this technology would be able to do. So you went from it just being giving you the opportunity to speak, to now you could speak and take pictures, to now you could speak, take pictures, and you have the internet. So then with that, now you have apps or different applications that could be downloaded to your phone. So now if I don't, if I'm not able to be in the actual place, I can actually from my phone download the app. So I don't have to be sitting in front of the TV if I want to watch NBC. I can download the NBC app, the ABC app, the ESPN app. And it used to be a time where I had to be at home in front of the TV in order to access this stuff. But now, so there are constantly more and more convenient services that are being attached to your phone. So the point that I'm making is no, to me, is no huge leap that now you have your device that's able to really be an assistant for you. Because once you got up to where, because remember, it used to be a time where even when you were dealing with automation, if you would call, they would say, the main thing you had was press one for this or press two for this. Now you got it where it's, oh, my name is whoever, and I can understand a complete sentence. So now you can give it a complete sentence. And then, so the fact that, again, all of this is, you can just see that it is just the natural progression of things. So now from your phone, you can call the name and tell them to, call this person. And over here, you got this name, and over there, you got Alexa. So, they all can do different, they're basically doing the same things. It's just different names that you're calling to do it. Well, now, we are at an entirely different place, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit more, but I had to go back in order to come forward. You know what I mean? I needed for you to see where we have come from. But before we go any further, let me take the moment to stop right now and say that if you have not already connected with me across social media platforms, I do encourage you to do so. Whether you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube, I am across all the social media platforms, and you can find and follow me at my name is Tennille. And if you like culture and conversation, I actually have a culture and conversation profile as well on both Instagram and TikTok as well. So yeah, your girl is everywhere and multiple times in certain places. So if we have not already connected, please let's do so at this point. And don't forget, when you go to YouTube, take that extra second to not just look at the stuff on the page, but click that subscribe button. So that way, whenever I update new content, you will be notified. And so I appreciate you guys for connecting with me. And again, if you want to be even connected even deeper, then I ask that you go to the website, which is my name is Tennille. And there you will not only see the things that I do, but you'll also be able to see more about the communities that I have. So I have a community specifically for creatives, which is APS, and I have a community specifically for women and women's development and empowerment, which is I'm glad to be a woman. And if you would like to become a member of either or both communities, you're actually able to do that by going to the website. We have different workshops, trainings, community meetups, culture and conversation events, as well as signature experiences. So there are always different ways that I am providing for you guys to be able to connect with each other, to network, and to level up. And so if you want to know more about those, then you can also, again, go to the website. My name is Tennille.com. And then there are also things that you'll be able to find out about how you can work with me, whether as a publisher, a speaker, or a strategist. All the information for all of that can be found by going to the website. So definitely be sure to check that out. Now, getting back to the show, today's culture and conversations topic is technology going too far? And the foundational question arose from understanding and learning about the announcement that Apple made at this recent Worldwide Developers Conference back in 2026, letting us know that they're completely revamping their assistant into Siri AI, and that is going to the upgrade introduces a dedicated chat app, on-screen awareness, visual intelligence, and deep cross-app actions, and it's initially launching in English. So where we left off, though, we talked about some of the standout features, one being the new interface, and we were talking about the conversational continuity. And so what I did, I kind of paused and took you back down memory lane, so to speak, to show you like just how the phone itself has evolved. So when we talk about this new feature of conversational continuity, that you can really understand what it will be able to do. So as an example, now you can ask it to call somebody, but because with the conversational continuity, it's saying that they're going to be able to go back and forth, hold back and forth conversations. So multi-step, not just call, not just one sentence, but multi-step conversations. Remember the context and recall personal data across photos, files, and emails. So Siri is going to be able to have access to everything that's in your phone. So every email that's in your phone, Siri will be able to access it, to read it for you, to, kind of put it in context for you. Siri will be able to look at all your pictures. Siri will know all of your files as well as all of your phone numbers, so that the example that the lady gave, the video that I saw, she was saying, as an example, if your mother is flying in from the airport, and if that information is anywhere in your phone, you'll be able to ask Siri to find out when. So if you say, hey, when was mom supposed to be getting in from the airport? Siri would be able to go through your phone to be able to find your phone. Find that information in your phone and give you that information. But beyond that, if you said, okay, make sure that my calendar is set up so that I have availability to go and be like, they would be able to use all of the stuff that's in your phone, just like a regular person would, and they would be able to connect all of those dots for you. So now you can literally have a conversation. And I will say this for those of you, because what brings to my mind is the capability of Chat GPT. Now, I know that there are other chat apps. I cannot go into other ones because the only one that I use is Chat GPT. But the same way how you can have conversation with chat, you can tell chat to do X and chat will be able to do X, and you don't just have to use one word. You can use sentences in this if it specifically, like, so say if you are having a conversation, you're given different instructions, or you're just talking. Chat can hold up to, if you're just talking as opposed to texting, chat can hold up to 10 minutes of transcribed conversation. So like, or I would say recorded conversation. So if it's just like when you're in your phone, if you want to have an audio message, and so there's a button so that instead of you typing a text message, you can click on the button and it becomes an audio message. Well, it's the same thing inside the chat app. You can, instead of constantly just texting, if you know that you have a lot that you want to say, and maybe you're not a good texter, a quick texter, you just don't feel like it because it's quicker to say it, then you just click on the button and you just say whatever you want to say. And up to 10 minutes, chat can receive what you're saying, hear, like, record what you're saying, transcribe it, print it out for you, and then respond. Well, guess what? I don't know what the length of recorded time or capacity is going to be for this new feature, but the point is that now you can give more than just one prompt at a time and expect for Siri to interact with you. So that's just one thing. Then it says there's going to be a dedicated app. So there's a new app that's going to sync your conversations. So any conversations that you had, again, this is mainly for Apple users. So whether it was the iCloud, iPad, the Mac, or your iPhone, is going to be able to sync all of those conversations. So, like, let's say if you got a MacBook, you got an iPhone, you got, like, all of those things are going to be used. So I don't have to log on to my phone to then upload. Because right now, what we have, so say if you have iPhone to iPhone, then you can just, it'll automatically do that airdrop, right? So I don't have to send it to you. And that comes in handy where sometimes, like, the file might be too large, or it's other reasons why you just want to be in the phone, and maybe you don't feel like sending all of those things manually. You can just check it, put the phone on top of each other, or as long as it's within distance, it can airmail it or airdrop it. And so it's the same thing. It's going to be able to go across device that way. And then it says on-screen awareness. Siri can now see what is currently on your display, allowing you to ask questions like, where is this, while viewing a photo, or instantly add an address from a text to a contact card. So I know that there are other things that can do it too. Like, I know we've heard about those Ray-Ban, I think it's called the Ray-Ban glasses, where you can, like, literally, as you're looking through the glasses, and if you happen to see an image, you can ask something about that image, and then the information for it will pop up. Well, similar is going to be with this on-screen awareness. Then it says visual intelligence. Directly inside the camera app, you can point your phone at objects to get immediate information, which is basically like what I was just saying. And then a third-party AI support. It says, in a massive shift, Apple is allowing users to route queries to third-party chatbots like Gemini and Claude through the App Store extension options. So it says, for a hands-on walkthrough of the new AI features and interface, then there's a video that's on here as well. So here's the point. The question at hand for today's show, at least, is technology going too far? Now, I went through explaining to you all not just the evolution, not just how these features can be used from a practical standpoint, but also how to a certain extent certain things that I've needed. So from a personal assistant to a virtual assistant, and what Siri now will be able to do, to pretty much, I don't necessarily want to say replace it, but some things that it can also do, right? So we can see where that is a total pro, right? Because if I already have Apple products, which I do, and to basically make it where things can be more convenient, because that's what we look at is convenience. Well, everything is right here at my fingertips. Now take it up a step, and now I don't even have to decipher it all. All I gotta do is just say something, and it will be able to compute, to comprehend what I'm saying, what I'm telling it to do, and do it. So if I need for it to book a trip, if I need for it to check an email, if I need for it to find, where's the picture of blah blah blah. If I'm out and about and I see something and I point my phone to it, I can ask, "What is this?" and I can get that information instantaneously. So the convenience of what it brings is great. But then you always have to wonder. And again, this is just me kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit, because you wonder this, and I will always say this anytime we talk about anything to do with technology. At the end of the day, I don't care how great the advancements, improvements, adjustments, upgrades, whatever you want to call it, how great they are. They were implemented by a man, by a person. Okay. So male or female, they were implemented by a person. And I don't care how genius a person is, they are still human, which means that you still leave yourself open to mistakes, to glitches, to downfalls. And for me, it's, we're getting so much, we're getting so high tech, so to speak, that it's putting basic things that we learned, like talking to people. Why do I need to talk to this person? Because I can just find out from my phone. You know what I mean? So, like, social skills are, I'm sure they're at an all new low, because we'll even, you think about your own household or family or friends or whatever, where people can be at the same dinner table and nobody is talking anymore. Everybody is on their phone, on an app, doing some type of chat. So now you're just enhancing and encouraging that type of behavior, because the more reasons that you give a person to be on their phone, and again, I'm not saying that it's the phone's fault, because at the end of the day, it's still the user. It is still about having discipline. So please make no two, three about, like, I'm still holding us accountable, because just because I have my phone, because there's so many different apps that you have, like, you could literally be consumed, like overly and totally consumed by your phone if you have no discipline. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to make a person's lack of discipline be the fault of the software. But what I am saying is that certain features tend to encourage a disconnection, tend to encourage a detachment. So, like, I don't have to deal with you because I have this. Now, that's not always a bad thing. So, for example, think about before certain softwares were available. A lot of times there are questions that we have that you can go online and you can find out. And so that makes things convenient. So instead of me having to call and be on the phone for 3 hours, waiting for somebody to answer my call, certain questions, if I can just go online and get a quick answer, I prefer to do that. You know what I mean? There are certain things where you don't want to have to physically go to the building, and that, especially like again in Chicago today, is raining. So if I'm outside, I don't want to be outside in the rain if I don't have to be. If the answer that I could get, I could just go online real quick, and then I could get you know what I mean? So again, what does technology offer us? In many instances, the answer is convenience, right? But the problem The problem becomes the downside with it, like, because there are times where I actually need a person. So when I call, I don't want to just press one, then press two, or press three, because you might not like, I don't care how good you are, you cannot take every circumstance into consideration. So like, when you call, and I don't care what business you call, like, yes, they might have a press one for this, press two for this, press three for that. But guess what? You only have nine options because you pressing one through nine. It might be more than nine circumstances that I need an option for that maybe you didn't think about. So I need to be able to get a person on the line, and there are many businesses, and they're starting to increase, where you don't even have that option anymore. Back in the day, it used to be, or press zero to speak to an operator. Now, the more and more business that's coming out, the least and least opportunities where you're hearing press zero for an operator or to talk to someone, right? There are a lot of businesses now, like even like online. I'm trying to remember if it's Wix or Weebly, but one of those, and that's a hosting site. They don't even give you a contact phone number. So if anything goes wrong, the only option you have is to shoot an email. And the email isn't the problem, but it's pick from these FAQs. So they give you a list of FAQs, frequently asked questions. You have to pick from that, and then it'll automatically shoot the email. Well, what if what I actually need, my problem isn't on this list of FAQs? So what am I saying? I feel like there needs to be a balance. So whereas, yes, technology helps with convenience. It defensively does. But I do not think that technology should totally eliminate the need for having people. Because at the end of the day, where we may say, hey, because if you're a business owner, and I get it, if you're a business owner, because think about it, every business owner is not at a corporate level, meaning every business owner is not a billionaire. Every business owner is not a millionaire. If you look at small business owners, mom and pop shops, like those, or solopreneurs, those type of businesses probably cannot afford to hire, employees at whatever the minimum wage is, because maybe you're just now getting started. So it's all you can do to build your business. And so to hire somebody, and depending on what your city, states, minimum wage is, maybe I can't afford to pay that. So in business, starting out for certain things, maybe it's going to hit my pockets better, not necessarily that it's my preference, but right now it's what I can afford. So there is the benefit of having AI that could be used in the capacity of an assistant, because now it's going to kind of save money. But the opposite side of that is when you do have corporations that does have the capacity to pay people, and what happens is now these people are being laid off, these people are losing their jobs, because it's cheaper overall for me to just be able to use this technological service or device or software or whatever, because now it might cost more upfront to implement it, install it, or what have you, but over time it would be cheaper, more cost effective for us as a company to hire, to have this software, as opposed to hiring five more people. That's where I have a problem, where we're laying people off, where people are losing their jobs, their livelihoods from existing. And I know somebody might try to get at me and say, okay, that's very hypocritical. It might be, but I'm just telling you how I feel. Like, if you can afford, and I'm not saying that, okay, my money, your money should be my money, but what I'm saying is, somebody who has $0, you understand why they may need to use a technological device for an assistant, because they don't have the capacity. Where somebody that got a bajillion dollars, money is not your issue. That's not the reason why you need a tech, that's not why you need technology. So that's one issue that I have. And again, come for me in the comments. It's okay. I'm not trying to be hypocritical, but I'm just stating facts. The other issue is, again, we do not want to get to a place where technology is replacing people. It should not replace people. Like, I feel like convenience services, certain things that people cannot do or are not equipped to do, then yes. But to take jobs away from people, no. To make it where, and again, at the end, I cannot say, like us, if we're at a dinner table and us not talking to each other, I can't blame that part on technology, because that's us. That is something that people are accountable for. I don't have to have my phone at the dinner table. I could leave my phone at home. So that's something that I do have control over. But I'm just looking at holistically where we're going, because if you look at it, we're not going backwards when it comes to technology. They're not, I don't think we're ever going to go back to the day where all a phone is able to do is just answer a call. I don't think we're ever going back to those days. Like, it used to be a time where certain phones had capacity and all they could do. But I think, like, they're upgrading everything all the time. And so, yes, we do have to get used to it. We do have to make adjustments. But just because we got to adjust doesn't mean that we don't see what's coming at us. So if your phone can do this, and here is the last reason I'm going to present, because who's building these phones? Who got this technology? Because my thing is, there is a such thing as Big Brother. And I'm not saying that this isn't going on right now, but I'm saying it's getting more and more. It's to the point where you can't deny that, is this stuff governmentally connected? You know what I mean? Like, because if you have the capacity, because even though we're saying it's the phone, it's AI, who programmed it? Somebody else has access to it. And if you think I'm lying, think about the time if you ever lose your phone, you break your phone, and then you take that phone in. So say you broke it, you take it in, or you lose whatever. There's always somebody who can access your information, right? So somebody is seeing, somebody knows, and we're steadily just easily, like, without even thinking about it, it's just natural now where whatever information we have, we just shooting and stuff. And again, I'm saying we, because I'm including myself on it. Like, we look at the convenience of it, but there comes a time where you just wonder, will this information be used for something that it was not intended for? Because now there is access, and you talking about the iCloud, like, you got to know you're not the only person that has access to your cloud. I don't care about your cell phone or I'm sorry, not your cell phone, but your PIN number. People hack stuff all the time. And it seems like more and more and more, we're getting these, what do they call them, like these class settlements where, oh, well, your personal information has been accessed, or, there was a breach over here or a breach over there. Because again, this stuff is controlled by humans, and so you do have to understand that it's always a possibility. You know what I mean? Like, is the feature great? Yes. Helpful? Yes. Convenient? Absolutely. But could there be more imminent danger on the horizon? And that's where I'm going to leave it and just give you guys to ponder. Because again, I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. The only thing that I like to do is bring up these topics for conversation, because with culture and conversation, this is where we talk about what matters. And if stuff like this doesn't matter, I don't know what does. So again, I'm going to ask you guys, if you have not already done so, to please be sure to connect with me across social media platforms, whether Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube. You can find and follow me at My Name is Tennille. And once on YouTube, please take that extra second, click that button so that you can subscribe. And when you subscribe, then you'll be notified every time I upload a new piece of content. And if you want want to go beyond that, please go to my website, which is my name is Tennille.com. That's going to give you not just information about me, but information about things that I can do to help you become the best version of yourself. Because as a transformational empowerment architect, that's exactly what it is that I do. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's show. As always, I have definitely enjoyed giving you guys the information